Hello friends and welcome to Erini's Corner. This is the first tutorial in the ABCrochet series where we are going to learn advanced beginner stitches based on the alphabet. And for the first tutorial we are starting of course with letter A, and the stitch that we are learning today is the Alpine Stitch. Okay, this is a small square that we are going to crochet together. I'm using worsted yarn weight 4 together with a 4mm hook. And the good thing about these tiny squares is that you can use any scrap yarn you have, so it's a good way of using any leftover yarn for this tutorial. So grab your yarn and hook and let's get started. We are going to start by chaining an odd number of stitches. So here is my starting knot, and I'm gonna crochet the same square that I did before. So I started with 17 stitches. 1, 2, 3. So here are my 17 foundation chains. Now to start row 1, I'm gonna skip the first stitch, this one, and start working into the next stitch. And I like to work in the back bump, and this is optional. So skip the first stitch right here and go into the next one. And we're gonna work a row of half double crochet stitches. Yarn over, insert your hook into the bump of the stitch. Sometimes we need help to get the hook in there, like so. Yarn over and pull a loop. 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. And this is the first half double crochet stitch. You can put a stitch marker in here to mark the first stitch of your row. That will help you know where your row ends when you're working row number 2. Next, we're gonna do another half double, so yarn over into the next stitch, yarn over and pull a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. Okay, and we're gonna finish this row using the half double crochet. So a half double crochet into each stitch. We started with 17 stitches, we skipped the first stitch, and so we should have 16 half double crochet stitches at the end of row 1. Okay, so the end of row 1 with 16 half double crochet stitches. Now we're ready to start row number 2, and for row number 2 and all the even number rows for this pattern, we're doing the same thing. So we're gonna chain 1, turn the work to the other side, and start working a single crochet into each stitch. So here is the first stitch. The turning chain, we don't stitch into it, we skip that turning chain, and we start working into the first stitch of the row below. So we insert the hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull a loop. Now we have 2 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through the 2 loops, and that's the first single crochet. And we're gonna repeat this throughout the row. End of row 2, again we still have 16 stitches. This time we have 16 single crochet stitches, and it's very important to count your stitches every row to make sure that you are not missing any stitches or you're not increasing any stitches. Okay, now for row number 3, that's when our pattern starts, our Alpine Stitch pattern starts. So if you're doing the Alpine Stitch on a larger scale of pattern, like let's say you're doing a blanket all in Alpine Stitch, you're gonna start with an odd number of stitches and then skip the first stitch and start row 1 with half doubles, and then work row 2, and then we're going to work row 3. The way I like to start my rows is by stretching the loop that I have currently on my hook to the height of a half double, to the height of a double crochet stitch, and then I'm gonna yarn over and pull a loop. So that's a stretched chain. The reason why I do this is I like to have a neat edge when I'm working with double crochet stitches. Usually when you work double crochet stitches, you're gonna see that you get a gap at the sides when you are chaining 2 or 3 stitches to begin your row. This way you don't get that gap. Okay, so I did a stretch chain. This is my turning chain. We don't work into that chain. Turn the work to the other side, and right into the first stitch of the row below, we're doing a double crochet stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull a loop. Now we have 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over, go through 2. We still have 2 loops. Yarn over and go through these 2 loops. And this is the first double crochet. And if you look here, we don't have any gaps unless you pull them apart. That's when you see a gap, but otherwise there is no gaps between the turning chain and the first stitch. Okay, now for the next stitch, we're gonna work not into this stitch right here. We're gonna trace it down to the first row. So we're gonna skip that stitch, skip the row below, which is row number 2, and go down to row number 1 and find the half double stitch in row 1. And so in row 1, if we look closer, this is the first stitch, first half double, and this is the second, and this is the stitch that we want. And we're gonna go around the post. So this is the post of the half double. We're gonna work around it. What we're doing is a front post double crochet stitch. So I'm gonna yarn over and go around the post of the half double 2 rows below, from the front side to the back, like so, and then get my hook out on the right side again, this way. And then I'm gonna yarn over and pull a loop. And the next step is really important. Stretch the loop up to the height of your current row. Okay, this is very important for your tension and to get a flat square at the end when you finish your blanket or your square. So stretch it up. Now we have 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over and go through 2, and then yarn over and go through 2. And this is the front post double crochet stitch. Now for these stitches here, we're gonna skip that stitch because we already worked a front post double, so we're not doing anything in that stitch. And then we're gonna work into the following stitch, and we're gonna do a regular double crochet. So yarn over, go into the stitch, pull a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, go through 2, and yarn over and go through 2. All right, now for the next stitch, we're gonna repeat the front post double. So we're gonna skip that stitch, trace it down to the double crochet, sorry, the half double crochet 2 rows below in row 1, and we're gonna work around the post. Okay, so yarn over, go around the post, yarn over and pull a loop, stretch that loop to the height of your current row, yarn over, go through 2, and yarn over and go through 2. A checkpoint here, if we have crocheted around the correct post, is that we have 1 stitch in between, right here, between the 1 stitch that we did the front post around and the current one. So we're gonna be doing a front post crochet every other stitch of row 1. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna skip that stitch right here, this one, and we're gonna work a double crochet around the next one. Okay, and we're gonna be repeating the front post followed by a regular double throughout the row. Okay, so I'm nearly at the end of the row. I only have one stitch remaining right here, and the turn is on a front post double crochet stitch. But I'm not gonna do that because I like to have my sides symmetric. So I started with a double crochet here, and although the turn is on a front post double, I'm gonna work a double crochet at the end of uh, the row. The row is going to end with 2 double crochet stitches. Okay, so you will always start the repeat of row 3 with a double crochet and end it with a double crochet. Okay, now row number 4, that's an even number row, as we have agreed. It will always be worked in a single crochet. So chain 1, turn the work, and start working your way back with a single crochet into each stitch. Okay, end of row 4 with 16 single crochet stitches. Now I'm ready to start row number 5. So again, stretch the loop to the height of a double crochet stitch and then chain 1. Now into the first stitch we're gonna do a double crochet. So again, we're gonna always start the rows, the odd number rows with a double crochet and end it with a double crochet. Okay, into the next stitch we're gonna do another double crochet stitch. So for row 3 we're ending with 2 double crochet stitches. For row 5 we're starting with 2 double crochet stitches. Okay, and then for the next stitch we're gonna skip that stitch and go 2 rows down. So this is the single crochet row, row number 4, and then row number 3 we have a double crochet right here. So into that stitch we're doing a front post double. So yarn over, go around the post, yarn over and pull a loop, stretch that loop to the height of your current row, yarn over and go through 2, and yarn over and go through 2. Make sure you skip only one stitch here, and into the next do your double crochet. And repeat the front post again. So yarn over for the next stitch, trace it 2 rows below for the double crochet and go around the post, yarn over and pull a loop, stretch it, and then yarn over and go through 2, and yarn over and go through 2. Skip one stitch at the back and then double crochet into the next. So now we are alternating the positions of the front posts and the doubles. Now at the end of row 5 I still have 2 stitches to work, and I've just finished my double crochet stitch, so I'm gonna work a front post on the stitch before the last, like so, and then skip one stitch and into the last stitch work a double crochet. So again we're working a double crochet into the first and last stitches. Okay, now we are ready to work an even number row, so we're doing a single crochet all the way back. End of row 6. Now for row 7 we're gonna repeat what we did in row 3. The only difference is that in row 3 we were working around posts of row 1, which were half double crochet stitches, but in row 7 we are going around the posts of row 5, which are double crochet stitches. But what we are doing actually is the same. We're doing the alternating stitches, and we are starting with a double crochet stitch, and we're ending the row with 2 double crochet stitches. So I'm gonna stretch my loop, yarn over and pull through. That's my stretched chain. And then for the first stitch, we're doing a double crochet, and then we're doing a front post double around the post of the double crochet in row 5. So here is the next stitch. I'm tracing it down 2 rows below. This is the post of the double crochet. I'm gonna go around it, pull a loop, stretch it, and then yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2. Skip 1 stitch and do a double crochet into the next. And this is basically it. This is the Alpine Stitch. It's a repeat of rows 3, 4, 5, and 6. The rows 4 and 6 are basically the same. It's single crochet into each stitch. 3 and 5, what we're doing in the middle is the same. The only difference is how you start and your end row. But otherwise, it's the same sequence of alternating a front post double crochet and a regular double crochet stitch. Okay, so now for my swatch, if you want to finish a square similar to the one I did right here, for this swatch I did 13 rows in total. And when I finished my swatch, I didn't cut off the yarn. So right away I started doing my border, and I did a border of single crochet all around my square. The border will make it easier for me when I'm starting to join the squares together. So in the odd number rows where we have double crochet, I did 2 single crochet stitches, and in the even row where I have a single crochet, I only did 1 single crochet along the side. So on these 2 sides I have 19 single crochet stitches, and around these 2 sides I have 16 single crochet stitches. I still need to block this square to make it even, because you can see here there is kind of a tension here and there. This can be fixed by blocking. So I still have to block all these squares at the end of the project before I start joining them. But this is basically what I did for my borders. Okay, so this is what your square should look like from the front side, and this is what it looks like from the back side. In the second part of this tutorial, we're gonna learn how to read the diagram for the Alpine Stitch. So if you're interested in learning how to read crochet diagrams, follow up with us on part 2. Until next time, take care and keep crocheting. Thank you for watching.